some because of their poverty, and some because of their color, and all too many because of both. Our task is to help replace their despair with opportunity. And this administration today, here and now, declares unconditional war on poverty in America.
The national poverty rate was around 19% in January of '64. So President Lyndon Baines Johnson used his State of the Union address to present new legislation, officially known as the Economic Opportunity Act. This, he intoned, would solve the poverty problem in America. 51 years later, and 51 years of Democrats promising to solve the issue, the national poverty rate has fallen 4.5%. More than 45 million Americans still live below the poverty line last year, something Barack Obama was only the latest president to insist he would cure. Our guest is former director of the U.S. Office of Personnel Management under President Ronald Reagan, current senior scholar at the Fund for American Studies, and author of America's Way Back, Reclaiming Freedom, Tradition, and Constitution. Welcome Donald Devine to the Hardline. Donald, thanks so much for joining us.
Great to be here, Ed.
When we look at these numbers, and again, as I said, 4.5% in 50 years, this is a monstrous failure here. But the Republicans will always say it's the Democrats' fault, and the Democrats will say it's because the GOP didn't let us get our job done. Where's the truth?
Truth is that you can't get people out of poverty by giving them money. You can give them some income, but you can't get them out of poverty. Problem is we've treated people like they're clients rather than they're individuals. And the whole philosophy just doesn't work. It's that simple. As Ronald Reagan said, you know, we held a war against poverty and poverty won.
Then with the national government spending $22 trillion, and that excludes Social Security and Medicare, since 1964 to support this war on poverty, what should we be doing? What's the very simple answer to spend it and do it right?
The answer is, to the degree you give straight out charitable money, you should give it based on disability or inability to work. Anybody that can work should have to work to get, even if it's getting welfare. We got to give people a job. I mean, even President Obama admits that job is better than welfare. Just giving money isn't enough. A job gives self-satisfaction. What we need to do is to change our whole poverty program to be based on work and not based on handouts. It does no good to anybody to just give people money and all they do is sit and complain about it anyway.
Well, would you agree with those who say that the Democrats want to keep those handouts coming on an everyday basis because the more they do it, the more these people will vote for them and the more they can continue to snow people that they will take care of and defeat this poverty war?
I don't know how conscious it is, but certainly that's the effect.
Then what do we do in order to take us out of this right now? And let me just throw this. Is it as simple as telling people that, look, here's a job. Take the job. If you don't, then you don't get a handout. You have to at least take the job. Push them to take a job. Make them do it so that they can't just sit there on their butts and collect the cash.
Well, the difficult thing is, you know, we have this thing called minimum wage, which is so complicated to try to convince people of. But the number one goal of the progressives is to increase the minimum wage. Increasing the minimum wage puts people out of work. It doesn't put people into work. There's a thing called earned income tax credit. If people make below a certain amount, you can give welfare to make it up, a tax credit to give welfare. Put people to work. If we're going to give them money, and that we can talk about too, but if you're going to give them money, relate it to work. And if you don't work, you don't get the money.
I only have about 45 seconds left on a different issue altogether, seeing as you know all about personnel management. How distressing is it to you to see that the Chinese or whomever it is, the Russians, are hacking into our system and stealing everybody's information on a whim?
You know, the problem is the federal government and just can't handle these kind of complex operations. They're not meant to do it. Government, you give them a job, tell them knock them down a wall, blow up something, they can do that. But trying to do sophisticated things like this, they just can't do it. And I'm amazed that, tell you the truth, that they've got all that information on record. I'm sure that was much beyond what they thought they were able to do. But the problem is they just got the record and didn't figure out how to keep them private.
A government that just can't seem to figure out how to get out of its own way. The book, by the way, once again, is called America's Way Back, Reclaiming Freedom, Tradition, and Constitution. Donald Devine, a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Take care. Telling It Like It is next.